How you doing? My name is Eric Wadlin. I am the chef partner at Wildest Restaurant in Palm Desert, California. I've been cooking since I was a little boy. I grew up in my father's bakery. Going on from there, I'm a certified executive chef and have worked at some of the finest restaurants in America. I'm here today to kind of just explain to you some plant-based items and a plant-based dish that I like and I want to cook. And then we're just going to cook and try different things. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have anything you want to email me at eric@wildestrestaurant.com. So what we're going to make today, we're going to make eggplant schnitzel. It's a German style potato salad. So what I was thinking is, you know, when you have Wiener Schnitzel, if you ever had it before, it's pounded veal, really good and delicate, but I don't obviously want to serve veal. I want to do more of a plant-based dish, so I thought, well, if I slice the eggplant nice and thin, season it, it'll be just like that, and then we're going to make the German potato salad, German-style potato salad with, instead of bacon, we're going to put a little smoked oil in there and a little bit of sun-dried tomatoes, so that should be a fun thing to make. So first we're going to start out, we're going to have all of our ingredients here, kind of have your mise en place ready to go. If you know what that is, that means have all your stuff prepped, ready to go. So when you are cooking, you're not like, oh my gosh, where is this? Where is that? You can just kind of get it going. So what I did prior to coming on here a little bit, we just blanched some marble potatoes. And we're gonna need 3 cups of blanched marble potatoes for this recipe. Just gonna slice them nice and thin, and like so. So another German style potato salad sometimes is served warm, and then you heat it up in a pan and serve with a lot of vinegar and oil. I kind of wanted to have a nice chilled one just because I like that flavor, the hot with the cold, and you have the warm schnitzel with the nice potatoes that are chilled. So here we got some excellent, as you can tell, some beautiful marble potatoes. As I said, I pre-blanched these. Cook them over a nice salted water for about 10 minutes, then I cooled them off. Very good, so 2 cups there. Do 1 more cup. Doesn't have to be exact, you know, cooking is, as I like to say, cooking is an art, not a science. You have to, you know, a recipe doesn't really have any soul, you have to kind of make it your own. That's the beauty of cooking, is be able to take things and make them your own, you know, a little bit different than other people would have. If you want the recipe for today, what I'm cooking today, again, just email me at eric@wildestrestaurant.com. All right, so we got the potatoes. Now we need 1 cup of green beans. So we're going to take the green beans. I like to cut the green beans just on a little bit of a bias, a little, you know, an angle, instead of just straight across. So only 1 cup of that. I like to use, again, these clear measuring cups, the glass ones, so you can see through it and see what you're doing. All right, that looks looking pretty good there. So there you go. You see how they're cut, nice. 1 cup, ready to go. That goes in with the potatoes. Then after that, you also need sun-dried tomato. So we're going to take our sun-dried tomato pieces here. We're going to give them just a kind of want to cut them so they look, you know, the idea of the sun-dried tomato is to take place of the bacon. So it's going to give it that nice briny flavor. So we're going to dice it like you would diced bacon. So for this, we need a 1/2 cup of sun-dried tomato. I think I got a little bit more than 1/2 cup here, but we'll definitely test it out. Well, it's looking just about right. So there you go, 1/2 cup right on the nose. That worked out well. All right, then we need the same amount of sweet onion. I like to use the sweet onion instead of you know, a really strong onion or a red onion because of just the flavor profile. So we'll slice this. Up, and then we'll just dice it. There we go, that looks good. There we we go, half a cup. And the onion goes. Then you need the celery, same thing, half a cup. I already diced up the celery. So I got a nice half a cup of diced celery. Again, you just want like a small to medium sized dice. You don't want it too big, but you don't want it too small, so it just goes away. And then Italian parsley, 2 tablespoons of fresh Italian parsley. So I diced this up earlier, so we're gonna get our 2 tablespoons. 1, 2. So now we're just gonna mix this up. I like to mix it up while it's dry, just to make sure everything gets a good mix and good incorporation. As you see, look at that nice color that has on it too. It looks beautiful. Right. And then next we're gonna make is the dressing that's gonna go into the potato salad to give it all of its flavor. So this is a vinegar and oil based dressing, not a mayonnaise based dressing. So we're gonna start with 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar, as you know, is fantastic for you. Good for you to eat, good to drink. So 1, 2 tablespoons apple cider vinegar. Then we got a little bit of the smoked olive oil. So what it is a cold smoked pressed Spanish olive oil. You can probably get this at some nice specialty stores, or as I say, you know, FedEx changed the world, so I'm sure Amazon has it for sure. 2 teaspoons, not too much, it's very strong. It's got great flavor. You don't want the dish over smoky, you just want to give it that background smoky flavor that bacon would give the potato salad. Then we got extra virgin olive oil. It's going to be 4 teaspoons or a tablespoon and 1 teaspoon. However you want to do it. You can measure them out 4 at a time, or just like I just did right there, just do 3 and 1. And then you got the celery seed. I love celery seed. We're going to do a half a teaspoon of celery seed. Very fine. A lot of the celery seed has a big bang for the buck. We got a half a teaspoon there, and then 1 teaspoon of light brown sugar. Hope everybody's enjoying their time at home. This may be something new for you to try and something for you to make. Again, the sugar and the oil and all that's kind of giving the flavor for the bacon to mix it all together so it tastes right. So now we're going to take this and we're going to mix it up. Okay, as you can tell, it's not a emulsification, right? It's just the vinegar oil. It is going to separate. It is going to, not stay together. Very nice mix. That looks really good. We'll pour that into our potato salad. Again, use our spatula to get every last little bit of goodness in there. Okay, and then it needs salt and pepper. So I use is iodized sea salt. Maybe, potatoes don't have a lot of flavor, so you want to give them a good amount of salt. Don't be shy with the salt. And then fresh black pepper. Okay, so what I always try to teach my cooks, and I'm going to try to teach anybody at home watching this, the number one thing, almost my number one thing about cooking, is taste it. So many people make the mistake that they don't taste the food, and then they serve it or they eat it later and go, boy, this doesn't really taste right. It's like, well, did you even try it after you made it? They're like, no. I'm like, well, then how do you know if it's going to be any good? So we try to get a little bit of everything on there, a little potato, a little green bean, a little sun-dried tomato. I don't know if it's, oh. Never used the same spoon twice, so. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's really good. All right, so we're gonna set that off to the side. So this is ready to go. Now we're gonna make our eggplant schnitzel, all right? For you Germans at home there, don't get mad at me. This is not a complete, schnitzel dish. It's just in the style of schnitzel. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get our place all cleaned up there. I always like to be neat and clean and organized. So every once in a while you want to stop and just kind of clean up your little station, clean up where you're working. You can tell my sink is over there. I'm not just throwing the silverware out the door. It goes into a sink over here. I'm not throwing it in the garbage either. What we're going to do is, if anybody's ever made eggplant parmesan at home, is that you take the eggplant, a very traditional way of doing it is taking it, slicing it, and then salting it. and you kind of salt it, it draws out the bitterness of the eggplant. So we're going to do that, but we don't need to do it for very long because these are going to be very thin sliced eggplant. So we're just going to cut the tops and the bottom off of our eggplant here. I do have a garbage right here though. Oh, need my carrot peeler. Ta-da! Lucky I had that right there, huh? That would have been a disaster. We're going to slice it up on a nice mandolin. Alright, so this is I have two types of mandolins that I'm going to use today. I got the French mandolin right here, and then I got the Japanese style mandolin right here. This will be for the eggplant, and this will be for the radishes later. Now, if you don't have a mandolin, you can just slice it really, by your hand or however you'd like to do it. But this seems to give the most, straight, uniform cut. Alright, so you can see here's the thickness of the eggplant. You want it just like what we're trying to recreate is veal. So I'm going to slice it as the same thickness as veal. Usually they take the veal and they'll pound it out and make it all tender and nice. The eggplant obviously doesn't need to be pounded out, it's already tender. As you can tell, I just flipped the eggplant there. Sometimes I flip it halfway through just to make sure it gets sliced the right way. Oh, these look really good. Look at that. Nice uniform pieces. We're going to lay these out on our sheet tray here. I think I can get one more. You do have to be careful with a mandolin because it is sharp. And a lot of people do cut themselves on a mandolin. I've been using them for years, and I still use a towel, or you can use a guard. There's guards for them. But be careful. It's not it's not a race either. Remember that. You're not trying to see how fast you can do this. So if it takes you a little more time, take a little more time. I'm pretty good at dicing and chopping and doing everything kind of quick. So people watch how fast I do it and think they need to do it as fast, and that's just not true. All right, so we got our eggplant. Looks really good here. Laid them out. Kind of got them all together there, looking nice. We are going to season them with salt. Okay, a little salt. A little pepper. Not too much pepper. We're not trying to overkill it. I don't use a lot of pepper usually when I cook because I think it's overpowering. Some of the worst things you can do is if you ever go to a restaurant, you have something like their vegetables and they put a lot of white pepper in it or black pepper, and that's all you can taste, and it's like, don't really like that. Again, put a little more salt on this side. And this is just, again, going to draw out the bitterness. Now, if you're thinking, oh my gosh, that's too much salt, don't worry, we're going to shake off the excess salt before we bread them, okay? So a little extra salt is okay. It's not a bad thing. So next we're going to make our batter. Normally, a lot of times in this recipe, when you make it, it's a simple breading station, which would be flour, egg, and breadcrumbs. And for this, I found out what works better because it gets too gummy when you add too much flour. So what I do is I just put a little bit of flour into the eggs. So what I'm going to use is this egg substitute, a soy protein. It's called vegan egg. I think they have it at Whole Foods and online and different places. So what I do, just follow directions on the package. So on the package, it's 4 tablespoons to 1 cup of water. I don't know what that is. All right, 4 tablespoons, a quarter cup, so I'm okay with this. And then we'll add the 1 cup of water. One cup, look at that, right on the dot. Now some of these egg substitutes have a kind of a funnier smell to them a little bit. Don't worry about that. It's not going to affect the flavor. You're not going to taste it. It's not going to do anything. So give it a nice whip up there. And then we're going to add the flour. And of course I have my recipe right here. I always cook with a recipe because you want it to be consistent and the same each time. And then just a couple tablespoons of flour. I use whole wheat flour. And this is just going to give it a little thickness to it, okay? So you got the 2 cups. If it does get too thick, add a little more water to it. We're going to kind of let it sit. It looks a little thick right now. You don't want it too thick, but you do want it thick enough so it sticks to the eggplant. I'm gonna let that sit off to the side. As I said, I did the eggplant first, because that way it sets. And again, we're trying to get a little bitterness off it, trying to get a little flavor into it, a little seasoning into it. So that's why I always do that first, and I'll make everything else after that. Then we're gonna make, what we'll do next is we'll kind of make the garnish for the top of the schnitzel. So that way, when we are ready to go, when the schnitzel is all cooked, we can we can be ready to go. So for the topping of the schnitzel, you need preserved lemon. There's a preserved lemon. I make these myself at the restaurant, but you can buy them at the store. So to make preserved lemon, it's just lemon, sugar, and salt, and then thyme. A lot of time. It takes like 6 months to make preserved lemons. You just let them sit in there, put them in your refrigerator, let them sit, let them preserve. It's like old school canning. You can see how it's, take the juice out of it. So that's a nice preserved lemon. It's still moisture, it's still good. All right, so we're gonna cut off the inside meat part here. This part is not what you want. This is it's a little bitterness. So what you only want is the outside lemon part here. So as you can tell, probably I've done this more than once, so it looks pretty easy, but once you do it a couple times, you'll be good at it. One of my things that I like, which my wife will tell you I'm terrible at, is I like knives. So I have a lot of knives. I like to buy a lot of knives. So this is a Hatari, which is a Japanese brand knife. I use this a lot when I'm doing fine work like this and cutting. It's Japanese steel, which means it's very soft. So you can't hit anything hard or cut anything or meat or anything. Just like vegetables, it's good. Fine work, mincing. I'm going to mince this. It works really well for that. So we're going to just julienne it first. So this is how you do a fine mince. First you julienne. All right, so we'll do that again. All right, got that all done. I like to line everything up. I'm kind of funny that way. I get all my little soldiers in a row here. So I got, ooh, this smells really good. Wish this was smell-o-vision. We just watched Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory yesterday, and they had smell-o-vision on that. And I still wish we could get smell-o-vision, because I think that would be a great thing. This lemon smells so good. These are local lemons from right here in La Quinta and in the valley. So once you got them all julienne, now you're just going to line them up and just go down the other way. And that's going to make you a nice small dice. On this side, you want to take your time a little bit more so you know that they're all cut really good. Now, if they're not all uniform, you can just go back and give it a little chop over like this, to make sure it looks good. Right. Put those here. All right, that looks good. As I said, it smells so good too. As a chef, I have a very keen sense of smell. So I can always smell when something's cooking and what's going on, if it's good or bad. So I'm going to leave these things right here on the cutting board that we're going to use for our garnish. The next thing we're going to need is shallot. Okay, so we're going to do a little fresh shallot here, peeled. Plant-based, I think, is a great thing for everybody to try to do. Eat more vegetables. I'm sure everybody's mother told them when they were younger, eat more vegetables. So here we go. We got our clean little shallot here. We're going to take our shallot, cut it in half, and then to mince it, you just make some slits down it, and then cut a little piece in half, and then slice it down, and then it comes out little dices. Again, just go over it with your knife one last time, just to make sure it's uniform looking, and everything is diced really nice. As you can see how everything looks good there. Nice small dice. We're going to put that right into our ramekin here. Okay. Let me get that out of the way. Now, I try to grow herbs in my house and it doesn't work out very well. But the one thing that always seems to grow very well is my garlic chives. So these are just cut right out front of my house and on my porch where I grow the garlic chives. Rinse them off. If you don't have that, you can just use regular chives or scallion, or whatever. So we're gonna again get those guys all in line there like little soldiers, line them up. And now I like to shave these as thin as possible. So we're just gonna cut these right on down. As I said, if you don't have garlic chive, you can use regular chive. You can use scallion. We're gonna set that off here to the side. That one, we got a crash. Things are good though. Then we got our lemon here. Again, nice local lemon. Cut in half. This is just gonna be for the garnish. It's gonna go on the schnitzel. You don't wanna, as you'll see later, once we serve the schnitzel, you don't want to put the lemon on it right away because you don't want it to get soggy. You want to try to leave it crispy and great tasting right till it gets to the person that's eating, and then they can squeeze the lemon on it a little at a time or all at once, and that way the schnitzel stays crispy. I do want to show you a little trick that I did here. So I cut the top off the lemon, then I cut it in half, and you can see it still has the little end on here. So this is the side that was attached to the tree. This is the side that's the bottom. Then you take that piece and you got your wedge. And then I slice it, and then I remove any seed that's in it. So that way you have a nice seedless lemon that you're serving. When you slice it too, it gets rid of that center membrane. I don't like to serve the seeds with anything I serve. With any of the fish, the wild fish that we serve, or the vegetables, or iced tea. There we go, got them all out. Radish here, we're just gonna leave the top on it though. That's going to be our little handle to hold on to it so we don't, again, hurt ourselves or cut our finger. So I just cut the bottom part off. This is the Japanese mandolin. You can buy these a lot of different places. Again, Amazon is the best because everything's on Amazon. And I just look down it to see how much it's open. There's a little screw here on the bottom. You turn the screw, it pushes up and down. You see it'll always stop right there. So give it one little slice just to see if that's thick enough or thin enough. It's a little too thin, so I want a little too thick. I'm gonna make it a little thinner. So that's just going up a little more. So you keep the top on the radish and you got your little handle there, and that way you don't slice yourself or you don't hurt yourself. Yeah, we're gonna do one more. Same thing, little slice. Those look good. Put those in a thing. That's going to be our garnish that goes on top. All right, well, our eggplant's looking really good here. Ready to go. So next we're going to do is our little breading station. So we're going to move this stuff over here to bread. So now we're going to look at our little eggplant mixture here, our little egg mixture. Check out its viscosity. As I said, if it seems a little thick, thin it out a little bit. If it seems okay, then don't worry about it. I'm going to have it just, I think it's just a touch too thick. So I'm going to add just a touch of water to it. Again, as I said, you remember cooking is an art. So there we go. That looks really good there, man. See how that pours out like thin cake batter? You know, would be a good way to describe it. And then the other one is the panko. So panko, as you know, is Japanese breadcrumbs, or if you don't know, it's Japanese breadcrumbs. Usually it's pretty coarse. So what I did is I took this panko and I put it in the food processor and I blended it up to get it nice and fine. You can use breadcrumbs too if you want. I got my little electric burner right here. We're gonna see how this baby works today. I don't do a lot of cooking on these. I like gas, which is, the chef in me. So we're gonna crank this thing up a little bit here. I got it on power, I got it on temperature, I got it on time, temperature, I got Fahrenheit, 300. That's like medium high. So in here goes olive oil and vegan butter. A quarter cup of olive oil, or half a cup of olive oil. I know it might seem like a lot, but it's not, because you're kind of frying these, so it'll give it the nice flavor. Also, I like, a lot of times I don't use extra virgin olive oil in cooking, sauteing, because all oil loses its flavor after 165 degrees. But with this dish, I like it because it gives that flavor to the eggplant. So the eggplant, you'll be able to taste the olive oil and the richness in there. So then we got vegan plant-based butter here. We're just gonna cut it a little bit, and we're gonna put that in there with it. Now the butter, the vegan butter, the plant-based butter, does have a little bit of water in it, so it will have a little, bubbling to it. Don't be surprised when you see that. If you can see, I don't know if you can see it up close there. You see how they're sweating? They got little water bubbles on them. A little bit of wetness to the eggplant. That's getting the bitterness out of the eggplant. So that's exactly what you want. So that took what, 15 minutes we kind of, took there, maybe 20 at the most. As I said before, don't worry if it has too much salt on it. I'm going to knock off the excess salt. So you're going to be okay with that. That's looking really good. Let me get some plates. I'm going to turn that down a little bit. That seems a little hot, but it looks okay. So into here, and into the nice fine panko. Give it a little pat, and in they go. Okay, same thing. Here, here. A little pat. And away we go. Next, you notice how when I put it in there, I put it away. The oil goes away from me, so I don't want to burn myself. When you're cooking something like this, when you're sauteing mushrooms, fish, whatever, you don't want to overcrowd the pan because then it just becomes one big piece instead of 3 little pieces. So you want to avoid that. About 200 there, I think. The little babies are looking good. Oh, look at that. That looks like it. Looks like schnitzel to me. Jawohl. There we go. That's looking good. We're going to let that cook just a little bit more so they get cooked all the way through. But you want that nice golden brown color there. That's what you're looking for. Da da da. Try to do it without burning my countertop there. Schnitzel's done. We're going to turn this off so it stops cooking. We're going to put them onto a paper towel here to suck up any extra oil that's on there that we don't want. I mean, when you make schnitzel, you're not going to have it so it's not oily. That's why I use the extra virgin olive oil, so it has a nice flavor to it, but not greasy tasting. It'll just taste like a nice extra virgin olive oil. Now, we're going to plate up the little schnitzel here. Okay, let me get all my stuff out of the way. All right. That's good. You got a plate. And we're going to take the schnitzel, put 2 pieces on there like so. 1 and 2. Nice and crispy. You can see how it looks good. You want to overlap them a little bit, but not too much, because then you want to garnish them. And then we're going to garnish them right here with these. This is our garnish line up right here. Okay, so you got your preserved lemon. Very nice, flavorful. A little shallot. A little chive. 1, 2, maybe like 3 nice slices of lemon. 3, 4, maybe 5. That looks good. We're going to serve 1 lemon wedge with it. All right. And then we're going to serve our potato salad on top. So we got our nice German style potato salad that goes with this. Oh, that looks really good. That's going to be a delicious dish. Okay, so here we go. Our plant-based eggplant schnitzel with German potato salad ready to go. Hope you enjoy it.